Hey everyone, I'm Martin.
And I'm Shelley.
And we are down here in the garden. We used to call this the garden area, but now it's actually officially the garden, I believe. And we are going to talk about one of the things that's been the most popular subject that we've covered in quite a while, which is, you know, we moved down on this place, raw land, in our 60s. I was 60, Shelley was 62. We're now 63 and 65. And it's one of the best decisions we've ever done. And we want to talk a little bit about if you're one of those people that dream of doing a back to the land kind of a move yourself, whether it's homestead or off-grid or just simply cabin in the woods, kind of like what we've got back here. We're going to talk about that today. But to start with, before we do any of that, if you could hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And before we get into that conversation, we're going to show you what we've been doing, what's the new stuff around here, the greenhouse, some extra garden space and all of that. We're going to do that first, then we're going to come right back here and talk about if you're dreaming of doing a back to the land move yourself, whether you're young or whether you're like us in our 60s, you know, it's going to be something that will apply to you. So let's go take a quick look at the garden.
All right. Over there is viney kind of plants, but there's the garden area. But this area here is what we're going to talk about next. This area started out being a big lump of grass and dirt, and I think they bulldozed a bunch of stuff over here. So what I did is I decided that I was going to save the trees because you can't have that much dirt. The dirt was up to there on both of them, so you've got to find where the root system is. And I'm going to make a little circular place like I did right here. This is mulch here, and it makes these trees a lot more healthier. So I'm going to do that. But I've been walking and working down here, building these stones up. And I'm going to make it come this way, and then I'll do a small one around this tree. But these are to take that dirt because it's going to be higher here. So that's what I do.
And over there you can see the solar panels, which in a few days I hope we'll have some racks built over here where the sun is shining onto the fence, and they will be facing uphill towards the south to the sun. So over here is a platform that I've been building up with rock, a big rock to start with and then small rock on top, and this is where the greenhouse is going to be going. And I kind of hope to have that up today, but we're going to save that, I guess, till next week. We're going to put up between now and next week. And this was just to get it level. I mean, we sloped downhill from up by where the container is all the way down to here, and this had to be built up about 3 feet high, and it's about 24 feet long. The greenhouse itself is about 10 by 20. So that's where that's going. And we're excited to get that up, but we've been doing all this work down here just to get to the point where we can see what a greenhouse looks like.
So what are you putting down here?
Oh, and down here, we're going to box out an area and fill with some more topsoil type dirt that we're going to plant some asparagus here.
And who likes asparagus?
I love I love asparagus. I think Shelley likes it too. It's just like one of my favorite things.
I do.
All right, so we're going to go back over and talk about dreaming of a back to the land move for yourself. Before we start that though, you got to see how things are looking here in the garden. We've got 13 raised beds here, and it's really looking good. I'm excited to see it. And this here is an entire bed full of tomatoes.
I ended up having to take some of them out because there are way too many. I started these from seed.
And we thinned them out and put them down in that last bed down there. So we got tomato bed number 1 and tomato bed number 2. Okay, today is, we're filming this on May 4th, 2024, and they tell me that today is World Naked Gardening Day. She didn't believe it.
I didn't think he would. I thought he was just, you know, goofing around.
We're going to spare you that today, okay?
I hope so.
All right, so anyway, okay, so dreaming of making a back to the land move for yourself, which iced tea, by the way. This is not moonshine. So, if you've been dreaming of wanting to make it back to the land, move yourself, and just haven't really decided that that it's possible or doable, or you're not ready for it, or any number of reasons why you might think, we're going to discuss a little bit about why that may not be such a important thing to worry about. At our age, in our 60s, tell me what your honest opinion is of the effort and the work that we did to do this, and I guess how that relates to, our dreams of wanting to be back to the land.
Okay, the first thing is when you take a piece of raw land, you don't really think about the road system and getting back into the area. And this place was heavily forest, and it had a small driveway, but we had to take it out. So the first thing is the effort to take down the trees, which we worked on it and took down the trees, and now we have firewood.
Yeah.
So that becomes part of your system, and then you got to think about getting the electricity in the power grid system. If you're doing solar or what, you need electricity and you need water. So them two things right away need to become priorities.
Yeah, and with the electricity and the water both, I guess, those of you that follow the whole off-grid community and that type of a lifestyle, you get off-gridders are very hardcore. Okay, if no faster way to start an argument with an off-grid group than saying that you have internet, for example. and so off-grid is a thing that is not easy to do right to start with, but what we did was we went ahead and brought some grid power in, because honestly I was completely ignorant to how the whole solar type systems work, and so I had no idea. I mean, we did get some solar early on, but it wasn't really enough to do the whole thing, and I didn't really want it to be, because I was going through a learning curve. We both were, really.
Oh yeah.
It was like, I am not sure how to make all of this work and whether it's going to be adequate and what kind of failures I might expect from it. And I didn't want to be completely 100% reliant on a solar system that something could go wrong, and then we'd maybe be completely without electricity until we got it figured out and fixed. So we started with a combination of the two, and slowly we've kind of been building up our solar plant to where we could probably do completely away with the grid really anytime we wanted to, and we'd be okay now. But 2 years ago when we started this thing, it wasn't so much that way.
And I think too, you need to be able to have the placement of where you're wanting these solar panels. We were going to put ours way in the front of the road because there's a lot of sunlight there, but as we developed this garden, took down these trees, we knew that we had a place for our solar finally.
4 times, 4 different places we tried the solar panels, and they worked in all those places, but they didn't work really well. And had I known a little bit more about them, I would have spent a little bit more time planning that out. So planning is a big part of a move back to the land. Planning removes the fear and removes the anxiety of the things that you're going to run into. So to me, I would say, if you're wanting to be completely independent or self-sufficient from energy resources, you really want to be okay with doing it a little at a time, and that'll allow you to achieve a learning curve on some of those things, like we did with the solar, and move into it slowly as you can afford it. And so all of that is important.
And I don't think it hurts to have that learning curve, because
it's better if you have it.
Yeah, and the thing is you can be flexible. I think that's the best thing that you could be, is very flexible when it comes to, well, I wanted it here, but we decided to change this up or do that, and you just got to go with the flow, because you are easier to maintain a level of peace in your mind, knowing that each day you're moving forward.
Yeah, and that's important. That's important to really take everything with that kind of an attitude of, starting where you're at and be willing to move forward a little bit each day.
When you're going from here to here, meaning you can't move on the land yet because it's not ready, but you're living over here because that's where you are. There could be a transition, so figure that kind of little transition out. Like, I know some people who buy a small camper and just live in it until they're ready. We happen to live in a campground in a cabin for a while until we were ready, but it was a deadline for us, so do what makes sense to you.
And you may end up getting a piece of land that's not raw land. It already has a house and the infrastructure and all of that on it, so you can move right in and kind of start from that base rather than start with a base of trees and rocks, which is where we started from. Now, the excitement of being able to map everything out yourself is one good reason for maybe looking at some raw land, but then also the ability to just move into something that's already established and then just start adding your flavor to it is, I mean, that's something that's got merit as well. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about the whole 60s thing. Okay, we dreamed about this for a long time, and it wasn't until our 60s when we finally made the move to do that. And I being here now for 2.5 years, I would have probably preferred that we do it earlier in life because we'd have had more energy and stamina and abilities in that regard. But we're still making it happen, and it's just everything happens a little slower, especially with me. She's pretty ambitious. She can handle things better than I can as far as workload. She's a harder worker than I am. And that's true. Okay, but if you're kind of reaching that age and thinking, well, maybe that time has passed you by, I think you need to back up a little bit and rethink that, because barring some kind of major health issues, I don't think the time has passed you by yet.
Yeah, you can easily do a little bit, and sometimes I wonder what projects are we going to be doing today, and I'll see him doing these things and I'm like, oh boy, but yet he does them, and
like it or not,
it does get done. And so I seen a guy the other day, and he was a very old gentleman, and he was still out there. He was grabbing a bunch of boards, and we saw him up at
the lumberyard, yeah.
And I thought, you know what? That's cool.
He's still plugging along.
Yeah, and that's the
so
attitude.
You can too.
Yeah, that's the attitude. Just keep going.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about, we're talking to old people because we're old people. But I also want to talk about, some of your younger people too. And I honestly, a couple years ago, I was getting a little bit disillusioned by the fact that it seemed like young people nobody could do anything. And a lot of the people that I was around at that time seemed oblivious to how to get something significant accomplished, and it seemed like I was taking them through kindergarten on things, on basic things. And so I was starting to believe that everybody was that way. Then I stumbled into YouTube and a few channels where there's some younger people doing some homesteading, and I became completely, totally impressed, and my mind turned 180 degrees on how there's so many young people out there doing things that we should have been doing 40 years ago, honestly. And they're doing it. They're doing it well, and they're getting it done. And so, I want to talk a little bit to you younger people. I was 20 once, and I was 30 once. Okay, it's been a while back, but knowing what I know now, I encourage you to, if that's part of your dream, is to start and live on a homestead. Bring that front and center in your life and start figuring out a way, steps that you can start to take to make that happen, because there are people out there running circles around us that are younger, half our age, and I'm so impressed with them. If you're some of those people out there, I salute you, because I admire what you're doing. And I wish we'd have taken a 40-year head start on what we did.
Yeah, but we had other things that we were doing too.
Yeah.
And I think too, if you're raising a family in this environment, oh wow, this is so cool, because they'll be able to see where their vegetables come from and food comes from, and and how the power system works, and they're going to be really enjoying.
Teach them how to be self-sufficient from the very beginning. Teach them how to do things.
Yes.
And so that they can become that type of a person as they grow up and become an adult. So anyway, I don't know. I don't want to run this video really too much longer, but we have been enjoying the process. We're loving the process. Give you an idea, we started opening up the woods on this garden area. Gosh, it's been 3 months ago, and it's taken us 3 months to get us to the point where we've got 13 beds and a platform for the greenhouse and have it look not as nice as it does right now. Yeah. And it's getting better even.
It's getting better.
20 or 30 or 40 years ago, this may have been a 1-week project, and now it's been a 3-month project.
Well, I got to say too, though, I have grandkids.
Yeah, so we stop and do other things too.
And we have family, so it's like you plug away as you can.
Yep. We're pulling for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you enjoy following that journey, we're going to spend more time talking about how to get it done. All right. And so if that's something that's on your radar, hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell to all, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like and a share, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell. See you next time.